do this on my end so that we have the recordings. The intention of today is to start looking towards the end of our program. So the end of our program doesn't necessarily mean the end of the journey with all of you. It just means that we are moving on to a different phase of the program, right? And we're kind of looking towards engaging you all more in a low touch basis versus a high touch basis. So what that means is basically we don't have we won't have any further regular kind of master classes or online engagements. We'll be having more of one-on-one interactions and sporadic kind of group activities. I will share a little bit more around that later. But for now, I just wanted to mention that the point of today is to mark or start to mark the ending of the specific phase of the program. So just to give you a bit of context and why we have 2024 and 2025 entrepreneurs in the room, we basically have included and invited all of you guys here. And bless you to whoever sneezed. I heard that was a little bit of a sneeze. But yes. So we've invited all of you 2024 and 2025 cohort here because for the last 2 years, and now over just 2 years, going into the third year, we have been engaging in a project called Project Reach. With this project, the intention has been to kind of incubate two cohorts of entrepreneurs within the agri-food sector of South Africa, and incubate them with a certain process in mind, going through bridging the gaps as an entry point. So working on like ideation and then doing a little bit more deeper incubation through the food systems program, as you all might have experienced, or some of you might have experienced. Um, and so that project is coming to an end on the 30th of June 2026. It effectively kicked off on the 30th of June 2023. And now we need to be doing monitoring and evaluation and kind of, reflecting on how those last 3 years have been. And obviously, you all can't remember everything, but it is for us to also just have the conversation with you around your experiences within the program and also just generally within the space as impact entrepreneurs, as social entrepreneurs, as people that are building businesses that are seeking to make either a social impact or environmental impact. So so that's basically the intention of the session, holistically speaking, right? There will be three segments of this session, particularly around what I've just mentioned right now, and also to kind of get feedback from specifically some of you guys around guys and girls, men and women, around the specific experiences that you had in certain components of the program. So if you might remember, some of you might, I do hope you do. We have had collective feedback sessions at the end of every phase of the incubation program and the Bridging the Gaps Innovation Challenge. And we are now, at the end of the program of 2025 going to 2026. So one segment of the session will be around collective feedback for those particular entrepreneurs that participated in the program of 2025. And then the segment that we're going to start off with, though, is for everyone to engage around your experiences with, being a social enterprise in South Africa or being an impact-driven entrepreneur in South Africa, how you have been kind of experiencing, the space in terms of support that is available, the recognition of the fact that, there's businesses that can be built for impact and also what your experiences have been with our program. And then the third segment will be around discussing some post-incubation programming. So, like for example, as I was saying earlier, we are now moving into a different phase of the program where we're not necessarily going to have regular sessions, but we do still want to kind of find ways to support your initiatives, your entrepreneurial journeys. And so the idea is to, for example, ask you, what does that look like for you, right? You've gone through the program, you've been exposed to the different activities within the program, different networks, the sessions, knowledge, skills. What what more would you need to, to be able to sustain your business or to be able to continue on your development journey? What more would you need, and what does that look like for us in terms of supporting that, right? So that's the idea. So just to recap, three segments. It's the collective feedback session. It's the discussion that we're about to have right now around, the social solidarity economy, social innovation, what your experience as impact entrepreneurs has been, both within the program and outside in South Africa generally. And then the third part is post incubation. Right. I just as before we kind of get into everything, I just want to quickly, as a reminder, kind of show you guys the program's framework, right? Just as a general reminder for those that maybe might not necessarily be very familiar with how the program ran. And then we're gonna take then 15 minutes to get into the first part of the discussion, and then we'll take the last 30 minutes of the session to discuss the other two segments. So Jan will be assisting with the collective feedback session. After this discussion, there will be breakout rooms for us to just, go into the separate rooms to have the different conversations, and then we'll come back together to finalize the discussion and kind of have a discussion again together, where that will be focused on the post incubation stuff. All right. So. Just quickly share my screen. Oh, by the way, if any of you have any questions, please do feel free to add them to the chat as we go along. And I will make sure that we at least can answer those questions. But for now, um, please give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay. Okay, super. I see Buleng gave me a thumbs up. Thank you so much, Buleng. I assume that, okay, Matuma as well. Thank you so much. That is much appreciated. Okay, cool. So this is generally the framework, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because we don't have a lot of time today. But basically, this is the general framework of the incubation program. Some of you were exposed to the pre-incubation innovation challenge, which is bridging the gaps. And that was the rapid kind of incubation where you got exposed to Babele business modeling, and we did some peer-to-peer sessions where we brought in other entrepreneurs to chat about the work that they do and kind of like give you not a deep dive, but an exposure to different parts of the food systems. And then we thereafter got into the incubation program, which was a 9 month, well, it's more like a 9 to 12 month period of incubation where we delve a little bit deeper in terms of what it is that you need, or the support that you kind of need. And we have ongoing sessions with external trainers. And obviously, these sessions touch on different elements of your business development journey. And most importantly, we expose you to a network of entrepreneurs. And we kind of try to meet you where you are, where we are able to, right? The incubation program was broken down into three phases. Phase one was on, you as an individual, because at Oribi we have this trust model, which is basically how we think about building our programs and the methodology that we use in the back end, right? So there's the trust. The trust model is made up of three components: trust yourself, trust your solution, trust your community, and fund your solution. Phase one was on trust yourself, focusing on the individual, entrepreneurial mindset, emotional intelligence development, personality, bridging personality, more broader personality awareness. So some of you might remember doing Enneagram testing, others might remember doing paradigm profiling. There was a life coach, etc., etc. And then phase two was on product market fit or going into market, at least developing like a strategy of how you can go into market. So then we exposed you to like different kind of different avenues of going into market. There was some digital marketing and social media training. There was also just an exposure in terms of the journey of entrepreneurs that have gone into market. And then the back end, some of you received toolkits around branding. Obviously, where the need comes up, we were able to try to support you in that. And then phase three, which is the phase that we are wrapping up right now, trusting your community, finding a solution. Grant application forms were open. There was some exposure to how you can think about building cash flows, doing budgeting, product costing, and also what it takes to actually begin the process of getting funding. So getting exposed to like pitching, there was a little bit of storytelling. We didn't delve too deep into that. And actually some of the post-incubation support will be more content on that because I think for the 2025 cohort, more specifically, we didn't do justice at like kind of supporting you very hands-on with that. Some got support very hands-on, others not so much. So there will be content on Babele that kind of delves into that, where we're streamlining some of those processes. Just be on the lookout for that. And then, yeah, we are now in the monitoring, learning, and evaluations part of the program, and also doing grant funding selections for the people that applied for the grant funding. Right. So this session is part of the monitoring, learning, and evaluations. And yeah, the programs generally has been non-linear, which basically means that while we had structured sessions, there was also ongoing like one-on-one sessions that were not structured, where based on the need that you have or the gap that you have in your engagement, we tried to meet you where you are. If we didn't do great at that, please do give us the honest feedback. We do appreciate constructive, critical feedback. And while I know a lot of you are happy with like our engagements and everything. What works a lot is receiving the critical feedback that can be constructive. If it's also negative, that's also fine. I mean, if you didn't have a great experience, that's also good. It's good feedback for us. If you can just let us know what was not so great, that'll be great for us to actually, find ways to improve. And yeah. So that's that. I don't see any questions in the chat so far. I would like for us to maybe go into and I hope there's no background noise, guys. There's like construction that's happening and there's a little bit of dust. So yeah, and there's that background noise. So I do hope that it's not disturbing anyone. Okay, cool. So, this is now 19 minutes past 11 on the clock. And yeah, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I think we can proceed. Um, right. I think we will have a discussion now on just your experiences with regards to building businesses that are that are directed at making an impact. All right. So I'll have a couple of questions for you all, and I would like to, we'll do this for the next 10 minutes. There's three areas of discussion. And the first area is generally on the local recognition of kind of, the importance of social innovation and the place of social entrepreneurs. and the recognition of social entrepreneurs in the country. And yeah, this could be either by private institutions, public institutions, and the goal is to if to ask, or the intention is to hear from you guys. What has been your kind of, experience with that? And do you feel, so the question is basically, do you feel and think that there has been a recognition for social innovation? And more particularly social enterprises being existing in the space. And also, do you think and have you experienced any advocacy or activities that have been aimed at supporting your journeys? So that's basically the question. Um, does it make sense? Anyone? No one? Makes sense. Okay. Thanks, Pauline. Much appreciated. Uh,
Sorry, Lucas.
yes.
Can you please repeat the question? I think I
Okay.
lost you somewhere.
Okay, cool. So we want to assess whether, so this is the question. We want to assess whether there has been any advocacy or capacity building activities that have led to the recognition of your businesses in the economy. I know it's a bit of a tough question. So basically, have has the activities, or there's support for small businesses in South Africa, right? But there's also small businesses that are not building just to make a profit, but building to try to make an impact. So have you experienced there being support, or at least activities related to supporting you as an entrepreneur in the space? And this could be internally, as could be, I mean, aside from us as a review, this could be by other private sector businesses, institutions, this could be by the government, et cetera, et cetera. So the technical question, I'm gonna share it to the chat. Q1. You want to assess. That's the technical question, or what we're trying to assess, right? Okay, I'll take the silence as a no. There hasn't been, right? Okay, cool. I'm gonna move along to the next question because somebody went
Sorry,
on.
Lucas.
Yes.
Hey, sorry, man. I'm just trying to understand. Are we going into breakaway groups to discuss this, or are we like having a chat with you now? You asking the question, we answering it. I think maybe that's why
Okay.
there was silence. I wasn't so
Yes.
sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the question, Buleng. I really appreciate it. So this particular segment, until at least 11:35 or 11:30 at minimum, is a group discussion. We're all here together, and then the other sections, so the collective feedback session and the post incubation session will be in breakout rooms, because the collective feedback session is just for the 2025 individuals. And then the other one, it starts off with just the alumni. And then we will thereafter get back together and kind of, have the discussion more together and run up the session. I saw you had a thumbs up, and so I believe that makes sense. Matume.
Yeah, good day, Lucas, and good day to fellow entrepreneurs. Yeah, actually, thanks to Tulem for asking that question, because I was not sure whether we are going to answer that in the groups or now. But just to give it a take, I think there's recognition, because that's what is already pushing now. So in terms of what is already doing in the space, there's recognition and uh, support to push and to venture into parts of social innovation, not just to be for profit all the time, but also give back to communities and work with communities. But at national level, there are policies and there's a talk about social innovation, circular economy, and all that. But we rarely see the support coming from the national because, and in most cases, in terms of our communities, we are quite an unbalanced society, and just because of poverty and lack of resources. So it is very much difficult for lots of people to venture into strictly social entrepreneurship, whereby they just want to help communities without generating revenue, because most of uh, most of our population, especially the black people population, we come from very heavily disadvantaged background, whereby at some point, most of us, you cannot give back to the community, whilst you are also a case of uh, giving back, or you, on your own, you need someone to also help you. But as entrepreneurs, we also need to introduce for profit part, and also and give back to our communities, because I always believe that as much as we make profit, we must also grow with everyone in our community, because helping communities to come out of poverty by giving back to our communities and encouraging them to do better, we also need to understand that by such contributions also help us as businesses, because they reduce crime, they reduce social ills, substance abuse, because those people can benefit from you. And people who, if you are helping people in your community and various communities, those people will not be your enemy, because they know that indeed you are helping them. Actually, I see them as your first line of defense in terms of security. So, but if we are not doing anything in our communities, we are operating in a time ticking bomb, because those people will steal from us as well. So now I think what Oribi emphasized throughout the year, throughout the past year, and even now going forward, even with previous cohort, based on what I read, it is a good initiative to encourage that, to show entrepreneurs that actually we can build our communities on our own. We don't have to wait on government to say we need money for this, we need money for that. If you run a sustainable business, like for now, what we are working on is to give some do a pilot on roughly 20 farmers, just give them off-take agreements to plant what we need. Then we
Yeah.
buy from them. They create employment. We grow as well. Like, yeah, just my take on. Thanks, Lucas.
Okay, cool. No, thank you so much for that, Matome. Puleng, you had your hand raised as well. Okay. All right, cool.
Hey, sorry.
Yes. Hi.
I took my hand down because I felt like Matome had more insight to add than I did, because I think that he's at a more developed stage of his particular enterprise than I am. But so my comment was more, I think that there's a lot of speak about innovation, about social entrepreneurship that's coming out. I from the things that come out on the chat, that Oribi's fabulous at sharing, it does feel like potentially this is a space that's more taken up by the private sector than by national government. And I think that while that's great, I'm not so sure if the grant avenues are as robust or as existent within the state as they are potentially within the private sector. That was just an observation that I'd made in terms of the things that are being shared with us by you guys. So I think there's still work to do there, but it clearly is in the conversation, figuring out how you personally fit into that, and how you get the grant funding for your particular area of interest is difficult, because I think also when you're trying to do a social enterprise, it's often very responsive to very particular needs or community or whatever. So then, unless there's like broad-based funding for the idea of social enterprise, trying to find grant funding that's very particular about the thing that you're trying to fix, that you're trying to address, um, it feels a bit challenging, right? Because everyone's tailoring themselves to their context. Does that make sense?
Yes, 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 100%. More
Cool.
responsive than proactive, more reactive than proactive, and basically
And
the
then you make
project
your
needs to
business
explain.
for the funding rather than finding funding for your business. You know what I mean?
I see,
And
I see,
that's
I see. Okay, and that's because of the nature of what you're finding in the space.
yes, that's just my feedback from the grants that I've seen coming out on our platforms.
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. No, thank you for that, Buleng. We're gonna move on to the next section. If there is anyone that has additional information to share, please do so in the chat. If there's anything else that's popping up for you regarding Q1, and just shared Q2 in the chat. We want to assess whether incubators value the role and responsibility of women in the local economy and society. I mean, yeah, Matome, you mentioned something around the community learning that we should work together and bring the front line. But yes, I would like to hear from all of you as well what you think about whether do you value the role and responsibility of women in local economies and society? And I mean, we could also hear from the women. What do you guys think? But yes, that's question two. Right. Samgelisiwe. Just go for it.
Greetings. It's I don't know how to put this, but I value my role. I value my role in the community. I feel like women are strong enough to tap into a role of having to just be a mother outside of your own, I mean, of your own children or of your own family. And it's easier for a woman to understand the situation. I'm not saying that men don't, I mean, but it's easier for women to understand situations and be able to react in a way of showing empathy, and also, I mean, if you are a woman, like, I'm not sure how to put it, but as a woman myself, I am in a space that is male dominated, and being in that position and not giving up and saying that no matter how difficult it becomes, I am going to fight my way up. And I think the importance of sharing this is the fact that we have this passion that drives us, no matter what the circumstances. We just say we look into the vision and we just want to see the vision come to light. And I think, like most women in different sectors in our communities, I actually say that I do feel valued as well by my community, because they support the business. Some of the people will support the business because they just see a woman in a male dominated space and be like, wow, we are proud of what you are doing, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just wanna, and I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna, in the spirit of time, I'm gonna add the question three in the chat as well, because I want to follow up on what you're saying, Samgilisiwe. That do you, with what you're saying, kind of see, uh, citizens, and I mean, I'm jumping onto your feedback that the community is also appreciating you, but do you see an increasing change in society in terms of, participating in those socio-economic issues that are facing even more? I mean, aside from himself, inspiring other women and other, local community members to also take up responsibility and kind of, look to make a change in their communities.
Definitely, Lucas. I have seen so many other women starting their own businesses, trusting that it is possible, seeing the other woman doing it, and also males, being males, be like saying that if she can do it, I can also do it. And because we are doing trainings as well, so it has I have seen a lot of changes, and I've seen women taking up spaces so much after I like, I will train people and be thinking, you know what, no man, this person seemed as if they were not ready to do this, and you would see them just being inspired by another woman, and they will take up the space as well.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And is there any, just as a last question in terms of follow up on what you're saying, do you think and feel that there was any way that Oribi contributed in terms of that action or those actions?
Most definitely. I had planned to actually share the fact that my personal development, because when I started the business, it was more of an income generating business, and upon realizing that the trainings that we're actually doing in our communities, so through Oribi, we've learned that we are multiplying ourselves in the community, and that's the role that we are playing. And we have now more than 100 businesses that are opened since we started those trainings, and we are proud, like, to say that Oribi really contributed to that. I mean, in one of our sessions, I remember I told you that I've learned more about who I am and the reason why I actually started the business. And I'm actually, like Umatome was also saying, sorry, it was Bulling. Bulling was saying that people now will try and open businesses for fundings instead of vice versa. But then now the way that we are running our businesses to, like, now make an impact in our community, more like multiplying these businesses in the community and sharing with them the vision, why are we doing this, so that they also multiply themselves. So yeah, definitely Oribi played a huge part.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Matome, I see your hand is also raised.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lucas. To answer your question number 2 and 3, to be honest, I don't want to be biased, but to be honest, what I've noticed in most cases is that women build society more than men. So in most cases, the reason I'm saying this is because with my experience of working with both genders, women are most likely to be trusted in companies without stealing from a company. So now, when society empowers women, we are 100% sure that that community is going to be well taken care of. But if you empower lots of men, based on what we have seen in social media and what we experience in our societies, is that lots of men who are empowered or has lots of resources at their disposal, they tend to victimize women for them to empower them. But if it is women, they empower other women and other people. So now, uh, and also, yes, and in terms of being ethical, most women, in terms of implementing company systems, are ethical. It's just that the proportion is, it's not, it's, let's say if 90% of women are doing good, then you might find that 10% of men are doing good, and you can struggle to find them. And when you get them, then you tend to embrace them. Like, 10% of men, that I can give an example, without being biased, I can say you are one of those who are contributing and sharing information. Then the other ones, when we hear about them, is that victimize the other person and all that. So women play very important role in our communities, uh, and also another thing is that we have lots of businesses that are at the grassroots level but are not scaling up because of strict industry regulations, whereby such regulations require lots of money. That's why we have a lot of startups, and we tend to ask ourselves, why are they not growing? But at the very same, on the other hand, is that regulations are not easy on such entrepreneurs. And in terms of uh, 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 I can say participating in the economy of our communities and building society, I can say it all comes from awareness. Like if one person sees the other one doing good, and they tends to learn on how to become better in terms of implementing social innovation with entrepreneurial innovation, then I think we can make a good blend of the two, and also how and teach each other on how to bypass certain regulations without spending a lot of money. For instance, like just like how I managed to got the EIA. It was a
Mhm.
very lengthy and difficult process, but I didn't pay a lot of money because someone showed me how to bypass the process and how to draft the document. So now, if I can share such information with others, then others they tend to see, okay, we can be able to bypass the system and empower women, more women to play a role in entrepreneurship and play roles in management roles. And I know lots of women approach various situations with caution, and
Yes.
which is a good thing, but most companies don't prefer that because they prefer a rapid growth. So that is why in most cases we don't see women in management structures. A lot of them we don't see them in management structures because companies just want a quick growth, and women are people who approach things with caution. But with men, we are quite impulsive. Then we can implement decisions to skyrocket companies, but at the same time, the ethics of the company, the people who are taking care of everything when the building is falling apart, they are women. So, yeah, it's just a matter of empowerment. I think. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Okay, okay, cool. No, thank you, Matome. Yeah, I would like for us to move on to the next section. We've got probably like 15 minutes around the collective feedback session. And yeah, if we can be as concise as possible, that will be much appreciated. I'm gonna step into a breakout room, and everyone else that's in the main room can stay in the main room, and I'm gonna hand over to Jan to conduct the collective feedback session. And yeah, we'll do this for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I'll be back in the main room probably within the next 10 minutes. And yeah, we can thereafter close out the session. If there is, I mean, we won't be able to get too much into the post incubation discussion. I will do my best to at least give you a heads up around a survey that we'll send out. We'll send it out by the end of day today in order for you guys to just give feedback on, you know, what post incubation support or what that looks like for you. So with that said, I'm just gonna open up the room, and also the questions in the chat remain open. Please, if you have any further feedback that you'd like to give around those three questions in the chat, please do feel free to add those questions. So yeah, I'm gonna open up the breakout room. It's only two people, I think, that will be with me in that breakout room. And I hand it over to Jan. Jan, please go ahead with the collective feedback.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, do you see my screen? Yes.
Hello, hi, Bridget, Abia. How are you guys doing?
Great, Lucas. And how are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. Thank you for joining the session. And I do hope that you guys have found it a bit enriching. And very glad to hear or to see that you guys are here. So your guys' interaction with the program, you got into Bridging the Gaps for 2025. And I think Bridget, you had applied even last year. So the goal, I think the most important thing that I'd like to maybe engage with you guys on is firstly, how was your experience with Bridging the Gaps as far as you got involved? And if there were challenges with getting involved, if you can mention some of those challenges and speak a little bit about maybe what you would prefer, I think we can kick off the conversation and kind of have that conversation in that direction.
Who's gonna start first? Can I or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can?
yeah. Since you're talking, Abia, please go for it.
Okay, no problem. Hi everyone. Hi Luca, how are you doing?
All good on yourself.
I'm good, thank you. So I would share my experience in the past 2 years. So what happened with me is I was not fully engaged. And I wish that if I was, maybe I would have gotten somewhere. With the challenges that I had with my business, I had to do a lot of things so that I'll be able to have like money and be able to go through. So I think the Oribi program, it is a nice program for me, especially I don't wanna lie. It teaches us like a lot of things from family pressure and financial insecurities and deep-seated doubt and fear of failure. I've learned a lot about that and how to grow through it. And I can say that this year I'm a bit stronger and I have like few things that I want to indulge in to move forward and to up my game in the business. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice. And just as a follow-up question, do you know what the shift was in terms of like your life conditions and needing to focus on building an income for yourself and how now you're feeling stronger to show up for your business.
Can you please
Like
repeat that again?
what caused the change?
Being in a mushroom business, it's not very easy.
Hmm.
So I have to have like a lot of money so that I'll be able to handle my hygiene when I'm doing the preparation of mushrooms. So
Yes.
I had to stop all of that and start little by little. As now I'm doing crochet, I sell bags and hats and stuff, and I'm even selling eggs. I wanted to buy the chicken layers, but I'm gonna do it in the middle of this year. I want to buy
Nice.
the chicken layers and continue the production until I get to the mushroom thingy.
Okay. Okay, cool. Great.
I think I
Well, that's
answered your
great.
question.
Great.
Did I?
Sorry?
Did I answer your question fully?
Yes, yes, you did. You did.
Ah,
Yeah, it's a recognition of what it's going to take and then needing and working towards that. Um, yeah, that's what I'm getting from your answer. Bridget,
yeah.
Yes.
yes, so how was your experience in the last 2 years? Challenges maybe that prevented you from kind of, participating or showing up as best as you wanted to?
Okay. When I started out the program, I think I started out in 2022. And during that time, sure, it was quite a hectic time. I think I was in this program and I was in another program which I eventually dropped out of. It was like some software development program, and I was studying education at the same time. So I dropped the other one, and then I had to focus on the education course, and then doing bridging the gap. And my challenge at the time was, during the bridging the gap program, I found myself attending most of the meetings, but then I had a challenge with Babele, and just getting orientated around it, and just like going online and doing the assignments and submissions and stuff like that. And actually, I thought the meetings and all of that was the actual program, whereas to find
Wow.
out that there's at the back end, there's all of these assignments that people are doing, and only to find out when I was with other people in breakaway rooms that there's assignments and stuff like that. So I think that's where I kind of failed myself, where I could have maybe engaged with you or other people and just try to, find out how to go about doing that. But then when I did eventually find the Babele program and went through the program, I found it to be in actual fact, the entire program, the Bridging the Gap program, partnered with the program on Babele, is that I found it to be quite enriching in a sense that it opens one's mind up to questions that you as an individual would never sit down and ask yourself, questions about your own belief systems and how they affect your business, and actually where you envisage your business to be in the future. So I appreciated the program for that, because it asks the business or entrepreneurial questions and difficult questions, where you need to sit down and really think about where you want your business to go and how you want to structure it for it to succeed. So um, it's also just a bit disappointing on my end to say that, with in terms of my business, I did not start or initiate it, in a sense that, as I was saying, that I was studying, and then at some point I found myself working. So I drifted away from the business aspect of things. And then just towards the end of last year, I was just thinking about, okay, I've had these dreams and they've been on the on the back burner, and I really need to venture on these businesses, because I do believe they are quite grand, to be frank and just honest with you, because they are frightening. Because the business actually that I wanted to go into was agro processing, where I wanted to harvest not so much fruits but vegetables from the farm where my mom and other people from this program. It's a CWP, community work program,
Yes.
by the government, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the side, they also have their own gardens. So I actually spoke to somebody from there, and then he offered me like 2 or 3 patches of land, and then he asked me, what do you want to do with that land? So I actually said to him, I actually want to plant herbs, because that's part of where I want my business to go, because I want to make plant herbs for teas, and just herbs for for you to season your food, or herbs to just heal your gut, your body, and things like that. So yeah, so this is where I'm at right now, because I really want to fully engage with the program. I'm not really studying now, and I'm not really in a work environment or space that that bounds me so much, where I'm unable to engage with other things. So yeah, that's where I'm at, just to cut the long story short.
Okay. Okay, cool. No, thank you so much for that. I would like, I want us to go into the other room now because it's 5 minutes to 12 and I want to just wrap up the session with everybody else.
Okay.
But I'm gonna leave you both with two questions that I would like for you to both please add to the chat when we're in the main room, right? So
Okay.
question number one is now that you are where you are today, what kind of support do you think you would need from like us as Oribi? And then number two, what actually inspired you to apply in the first place, right? So when you applied back in 2022, Abia, when you applied back in 2023, what was the, or 2024, what was the inspiration? What inspired you to apply? What pulled you to the program to say, hey, this would be great. I want to apply for that. So just to repeat, question number one, um, what would you like to receive as support moving forward? Question number two. And aside from funding, everybody needs funding, but
Yes.
please share aside from funding, what kind of support would you need? Haven't been exposed to what you've been exposed to. And then number two, what inspired you to apply in the first place? So I'm gonna end this room right now. But yes, if you both can share that answers to those questions in the main room, that will be much appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you for your feedback. And yeah, see you in the main session.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
A lot for one person, but he really showed up for everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone has something else to add? Okay, we can go to the next question, which is how can the food system program support your entrepreneurship journey post your incubation program?
I see I'm actually right on time. We're talking about post incubation. Hi again, everyone. Um,
For me, post incubation would be keeping the network of every social entrepreneur that has been part of Oribi. I'm not sure how Oribi is planning to run that process, but for me, it would be keeping the network because for me, in my experience, there's always someone that you can collaborate with for future purposes, even if it's not now, but for future purposes. Access to information, right, that they had already given us. If they can, I'm not sure if Babele will run in the long term. So if that can be put into, I don't know, a PDF document in a zip file, circulated for everyone to download to have handy, and also it's materials materials for us to go back and refer to as and when we refine our business models and ideas. And yeah, access to opportunities. So we can have a platform where they still are sharing opportunities online.
good. Cool. Thank you so much, Zandile. I see it's 1 minute to 12 on the clock, and as usual, I'm very bad at this, guys. It's my fault. I underplanned the time element, and yeah. So I think we'll close out the session here. But just two things. Oh, just two things. I'm gonna be in the room for the next 5 minutes, just waiting for feedback from Abia and Bridget. Just a heads up on that. And then I will share around post incubation support. There will be so then this is the second thing. We'll send out a survey asking you guys the questions that we didn't get to, and obviously also that survey will be around post incubation. So, what kind of support would you like to get? So you'll be able to answer that. And then there's also an exit survey that we would like for you guys to complete. So if you remember, you might remember that there was an entry survey that you completed at the beginning of the program. So this will be an exit survey that kind of looks at the end of the program how have things gone, And then just a heads up, we'll be in touch around end of program engagements where we'll be assessing impact, as well as where you're positioned in your businesses. I do apologize that we couldn't get enough time, or we didn't organize enough time for everyone to give their feedback. But please, please, please do make sure that you complete the survey. We do value your inputs and feedback. And then with regards to the other things that I mentioned, um, yeah, you will hear from us around the exit survey as well as this collective feedback survey, starting, of course, with the collective feedback survey. And then we'll send you the exit survey probably during the course of the week. And so you can just complete that as well. So, yeah, with that said, everyone, thank you for your attention. I am looking in the chat right now. I don't see any other messages, but what you can expect, just as kind of like a trailer of sorts, if I can put it like that, is that we will be consolidating all the resources, or we have started consolidating all the resources. And so there's a PDF document with a link with links to all the different kind of masterclasses, workshops that you guys got exposed to. We are in engagements with Babele around continued access to Babele. It is our intention to keep that continued access to Babele at least for the next 6 to 12 months, so that anybody that wants to catch up can catch up on that. And in terms of networks, we're not going to close the WhatsApp groups. So you will still continue to have access to those networks. And yeah, and then we'll continue to be posting on, I mean, while we're still around, we'll continue to post access to opportunities in those WhatsApp groups. It is my sole intention to continue doing that over time. But obviously, if I'm if I'm not around in 6 to 12 months' time, I don't know if people will continue to do that. But we'll make sure that WhatsApp groups are maintained, and then surveys will be sent via WhatsApp, and we'll also send them via email. So the emails that you have been receiving from us in terms of support, or not support, but incubation program updates, those will continue, as far as capacity is still involved, and we're still in the same situation. So yeah, Abia and Bridget, you guys were in a breakout room with me. I would still like to hear from you in terms of what inspired you to apply for the program. Also, what kind of support that you guys need moving forward. We will share the surveys as well in the WhatsApp groups, just so that you're able to give that kind of feedback if you prefer to give that feedback through the survey. So yeah, with that said, folks, I cannot take any questions at the moment as I have to rush to another meeting. I don't know if my colleagues are still available to take any of your questions, but thank you so much for your time and for kind of, yeah, joining the session and sharing your feedback as far as possible. And we'll keep in touch. Yeah, see you guys very soon. Yes, that's it from my side.